If I haven't succeeded by mid-20s, can I still succeed? An interesting topic of discussion. What are your thoughts? This original thread is from Quora, but it would be interesting to see what us here at Fastlane think about this. It depends on how an individual defines success and what resources they have at their disposal. Best regards. I would guess it would depend on your definition of succeed. Aside from that, is the original poster insinuating that one should just quit trying or commit suicide if they fail to meet their goals by mid-20s? If one doesn't make their goals, what is the alternative? Sounds pretty narrow-minded to me. You fail when you quit. Age only gives you more experience and ability. How could more assets ever be a roadblock to success? The main reason people feel that they've missed their chance is because of tunnel vision on their past mistakes and regrets. All we have is today. A lot of young guys make big money and fail to spend it wisely, so they end up in trouble again. MJ even touches on this in his book. Younger people often have a gift for seeing opportunity and leverage where others don't. Their flaw is that they usually fail to make long-term plans or invest their wealth properly. Success is chess, not checkers. Those that can look at the big picture are the ones that win in the end. I think about how little I knew when I was 20 compared to 30, and it scares me. I could have been so stupid, but I also know is part of the process of aging. It's also made me enjoy getting older, even if that sounds strange. Mid-20s? Not unless your goal is to be a swimsuit model. Man, I have a friend that thinks this way and it's just nuts. I'm 25 right now and feel like I'm just beginning life in a lot of ways. To think your life is in any way over at such a young age is something I just don't get. But hey, on the other hand, it always means there will be a large supply of laborers. Get rich or die trying. Duncan Bannatyne started his first business when he was 30. And he is a multi-millionaire in UK now. There was a story of a man who hadn't done much with his life and who had casually been interested in writing. When he was older and found out that he had a tumor or cancer, and only so much time to live, he started writing books, and good ones at that. He was later told by doctors that the cancer had subsided, but he continued to write because he enjoyed it so much. I think he was a best-selling author. I believe this story was from the book 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. I believe that it may be harder to get rich or be a super success when you are only. This is mainly due to additional responsibilities like taking care of a family, and your health is gradually declining. Most average people use this as an excuse though and take a pessimistic look on life that their time has passed. The first question is, how do you define success? If your definition is to be a top surgeon, then you are still training in your mid-20s. How about winning a Nobel Prize? How about raising a happy child? There are only two definitions of success that I can think of that need youth, being a child prodigy or a gymnast. Most natural talents are showing by the 20s, and you will be well on your way if not at the pinnacle by then. Things like sports, music or science. The people who have achieved extraordinary success at an extremely young age appear on the television, because they are rare. There are many more people who achieve success later than mid-20s. I could go on for a fair bit here, but it would probably turn into a rant. That's funny. Duncan Bannatyne instantly came to mind for me as well. Not only because he was 30 years old, but because he was an actual beach bum at the turning point in his life. Living in paradise, surfing all day and partying or drinking all night, basically going nowhere but being okay with it because he had no real direction. On spur of the moment one day, he decided that he was meant for something bigger and was going to be a millionaire. In his book he actually talks about the day on the beach that he turned to his wife and said that, jokingly recalling, "I think she thought I was kidding." A couple decades later, he is one of the richest men in the UK. He is a household name in Europe the way Trump is a household name in the US. I think global wealth hit the nail on the head. I will be 29 this summer, and have been trying unsuccessfully to hit the fast lane for years now. Every year only makes me more determined and more experienced. Do I regret not starting at 18 years old and perhaps losing a great 5 years? Perhaps, but I consider myself fortunate that I still learn what I did by 23 to 24. I have said many times that I don't know where I would be today or how scattered my life would be if I hadn't started talking to MJ and a few other guys after I graduated college. Those early convos and the fact that they had what I so desperately wanted changed everything for me. I work with guys every day that are miserable with me in our office, but yet being much older with a lot more commitments, will now never take the steps to do anything about it. That to me is the greatest failure at all. When you decide that it's okay to live a mediocre life, only because you are afraid to go after something better. As my father said to me once, you only get one trip down the tracks, folks. It doesn't matter if you are 25 years old or 50 years old. Your circumstances and responsibilities might change with every year, but if your drive and desire flame doesn't burn out, it is never too late to go get what you want in life. Failure is what happens when you give up and decide that it's okay to live like the masses. Success starts to happen when you decide that it's not. Awesome paragraph. Speed plus. The question I ask myself when possibly hesitating on something: how old will I be in 1,2,5 years if I try this? How old will I be in 1,2,5 years if I don't? Age then becomes irrelevant. To be honest, I think like this sometimes too. I'm also naive, and in my early 20s my reasoning is that by my early 30s I'd like to be starting a family, and if that's the case I want to be financially secure. Thus, it seems like either my own business must be doing decently by then, or I'll have to switch to a stable corporate job, hence the need to be successful by 30. These are restrictive thoughts. Is this coming from outside family or environmental pressure? Who is telling you that you must be financially secure before starting a family? I understand this is your desire, but I also know that while this may be a desire for the moment, other wants will arise too. For example, I want to have $1 million in the bank before I start a family, I want to have traveled around the world before I start a family, I want to buy a Ferrari before I start a family, etc. The point is, the stars will never align, and whatever you think you have planned out will never actually come to fruition. Sure, setting goals and planning are good, but you will realize that you also need to be flexible. What happens if you get your wife, or GF, I'm assuming you are a guy, pregnant next year? What then? Are you going to go to that safe corporate job? Are you going to sacrifice your dreams because the stars didn't align? What is even your definition of success? Is it measured in dollars, houses, cars? Or is it measured in living a meaningful, experience-filled life? Go for starting that business now if you haven't already. But don't let that hold you back in your 30s, 40s or 50s from starting a business too. Great post global. The world we live in is filled with many mass media biases. I.e., if I don't have money by a certain age, then I'm a failure whether you see them or not. Mass media biases are all around you. It is impossible to be objective all of the time, but take these biases and balance them in your mind. Just because some people believe something, or say something, doesn't make it fact. Go out there, change the world, be you, and don't forget to enjoy the ride along the way. Zuck founded Facebook and was a billionaire by his early 20s, good for him. Now make your own mark. Wow, some great responses. Just now reading this. My thoughts: anything is possible at any age. I think some advantages in the mid-20s: 1 You tend to have a more risky personality. Maybe due to less responsibility, marriage, Kids too, you have more time to recover if you get in the financial hole. 3 tends to get away with less sleep, higher metabolism. I can't say much about the 30s yet cause I'm not. But just taking a look from my teens to now, I'd say I have become less risky. Example, driving, etc. Tend to let the little things go, and know how to avoid unnecessary situations better. At first it was a wonder to me that people have this fear. Give up on success before even hitting your 30s? Wow. But then I just thought about how we look at life as a society. Age 6, you are a child, not a person. Your opinion will be given to you, and you don't know what you're talking about. Go play. Age 10, they will clandestinely teach you about STDs. It is socially appropriate when interacting with adults to pretend you didn't know there was a difference between boys and girls until now. Your little mind is blown away, I'm sure. Age 16, holy crap, I can drive. Age 18, you are expected and allowed to enjoy the difference between boys and girls. But you must pretend it's wrong. Pervert. Age 21, you may now have fun. Go to college, drink a lot, enjoy your first and last year of adult freedom and life. Age 2x, herein lies the forked path. Do you take a long-term school path to a prestigious career, or do you take something more corporate and safe, thus allowing you to start a family before the grey hair sets in? Age 30, your life is over. Age 40, stress-induced amnesia of the past 10 years. Age 50, pester for grandchildren. Age 60, get excited for retirement. Age 70, health issue roulette. Age 80, with that model of life in mind, it's easy to start feeling like you're doomed by my age. I'll continue to try and worry about more tactile things, like how our mortality isn't linked to age. How I look out the window to the dull grey sky and find myself without the desire to do anything. What of my weaknesses, strength, desires and situation will help or hinder me towards success? The first thing I thought of after reading the topic is, where's the beef? For us old guys, this was a very popular line from a Wendy's commercial back in the 80s. The actress was Clara Peller, who at the ripe young age of 81 won the role for these commercials. She was not an actress, just in the right place at the right time. So my short answer is no, it is never too late to succeed. If you would allow me to share my insight into the situation, I proactively started my journey in the fast lane in my early or mid-20s. I was going to be a real estate millionaire by the time I hit 30 for sure. Piece of cake. What could possibly go wrong? Infinity. This post also addresses your desire to be financially stable prior to having children so that you may provide them with the life they deserve. A little over 2 years ago I was 28. My then new girlfriend of 2 months informed me that she was pregnant. I honestly thought my life was over. How stupid could I be? Though we had known each other and ran in the same circles for a decade, we had only been dating for 2 months. This wasn't going to happen to me, no way. I was going places, I was on my way to becoming a fast lane success. How could I be both a devoted family man and a raving success in business at the same time? As far as I was concerned at the time, the two were mutually exclusive. How the hell was I going to provide for a family? I wasn't going to end up one of those dead inside suburbanite corporate drones, slagging through life every day to make ends meet just to put food on the table for his family. So, I did an apostrophe T. After the initial shock and a couple of months of mental adjustment, I realized that there were a great many individuals that have risen to the heights of greatness from beginnings far more humble and complex than mine. Immigrant families coming to this country with literally nothing but a lint in their pockets, single mothers and fathers on welfare, those that through sheer will and determination fight and claw their way to freedom from the depths of poverty and despair despite all odds. I could still do it too. By the time my girlfriend was 9 months pregnant, I could hardly wait anymore for my baby boy to be out. More so her though. Ha ha. My son was born on my 29th birthday. I came to the realization soon after that I had a great many misconceptions about what this new life would entail. Different? Unquestionably. Better? Undeniably. Would I have had children had I waited until I was a millionaire? Who knows? What if it took longer than I had originally anticipated and events transpired such that I ended up never having children and missing out on such a wonderful experience? When I was able to reframe the way I perceived the situation, the benefits grew exponentially. I make time to be a dad to my 9-year-old stepdaughter and my 1-year-old son, do my schoolwork, work my fast lane plan, spend quality time with my wife, go to the gym 4 days a week and more, and I still have some downtime. It hasn't put an end to our weekend nightlife either. Family is everything, and my family gives me more strength than I ever could have fathomed having on my own. Life is definitely very busy, but I love every second of it. It is also the reason I have no sympathy or tolerance for those that make excuses. If you want something to happen, make it happen or sit down and shut up. It is really all about enjoying life, whatever stage of the game you're at, and to never stop fighting as long as there is something left worth fighting for. I'd say freedom, regardless of age, is always a viable cause. Take comfort in the unexpected and the unorthodox, and you begin to see opportunity and positives where before there only existed obstruction. We cannot possibly account for every single variable and permutation life throws at us in an effort to mitigate our exposure to risk. Life, like business, is dynamic and demands a fluid, organic structure with regards to any designs one has on it if one is to be successful. The lessons I've learned over the past 6 years, about which I could literally write a book that would horrify and sicken most, all the trials and the tribulations, have only served to hone my acumen into an even more effective weapon, and perhaps more importantly served as the catalyst to the evolution of my financial management skills and my financial sense of responsibility. In retrospect, I wouldn't have wanted to learn these lessons by making millions in my early 20s, and being bankrupt and back at square one by the time I was 30 with a family because of poor money management skills due to naivety. If you don't make it by mid-20s, 30s, whatever, who the hell cares? If you've genuinely been working on your fast lane plan the whole time prior and provided the lessons imparted therein are heeded, you're light years ahead of the competition and well on your way. And who knows, success might literally be just around the next corner. Sorry for the novel, I couldn't stop adding things, haha. Last I checked, age is just a number. Unless of course you value it differently. Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC until he was in his 60s. It's never too late. I do not agree with this at all. Whether anyone here knows it or not, all of you want to make money in order to live life the way you want. I'm not just talking about cars, I mean not have to wake up at 5 a.m. even if you still would. It is about freedom. Not one single person wants to have guidelines. Do you know why vacation is so good? Because you're a 16-year-old kid again with no plans, do what you want. People who say otherwise are just mentally accepting the fact that they will not be successful. They are using this as a crutch for the day when it finally hits them and they give up. So if you are struggling to launch a biz from 21 years with little money all the way to 40 years old, is that okay? Please do not fool yourself into thinking it is because life will suck. Money matters, it is a game, and whoever gets there first wins. The biz, I don't think anyone here would dispute the fact that achieving success at an early age is a bad thing. It's simply cautionary in that limiting yourself based on age is a futile construct and effectively becomes one more hurdle in your path to success, and the majority of us on this board know the road to success is already fraught with challenge enough as it is. If you've been struggling to launch a business for 19 years and still not generating revenue, you're probably in the wrong business, and the implications of those poor decisions rest on the individual. In any case, the definition of success is highly subjective. When benchmarking solely within a monetary context for quantitative purposes, If for example your ultimate goal is a net worth of $500 million, then by the same standard a net worth of $50 million at 30 does not constitute having made it, though life could potentially be considered pretty comfortable at that point, taking liquidity and cash flow into consideration. Of course money matters. Anyone that thinks otherwise either doesn't have any or are fooling themselves. So at what age do you give up? You turn 30 and say, oh well, I'll go get a job. I'd say 10 years from start date is fair. If you start at 20, by 30 something should be happening, and if you start at 30 something should be happening at 40. I am not advising people on what to do with their lives, but 3,650 days later, if you're not onto something, I would say your chances of succeeding are only getting worse. Give up? Are you kidding me? You might as well go ahead and give up today. Go get a job you hate and join the sidewalk and rat race. No thanks. I am personally committed to being a fast learner, and it will happen. How? Taking constant action today to reach your goals. Being a fast learner is a mindset, and once you have it, there really is no one that can stop you but yourself. Seriously, I've only been on this forum for a few days, but I'm amazed at some people's questions and responses not directed towards anyone in particular. Have they even read the book and grasped the message, ideas, and mindset? I think John Paul DeJoria also started late, was homeless living on the street until he created his LBA. I think Kenrick Bioface wasn't advocating giving up. He was questioning Joey Biz's insinuation that after a certain period of time, X years, it is time to give up. I know he doesn't believe that. Ricky, I hear what you are saying and I do agree with you to a degree. You must understand though that being able to accept the negative possibilities out in the world is a good thing. If you were doing something wrong and kept saying, well, it's going to work if I just keep doing it, you can read whatever you want, think whatever you want, but if it does not make sense, it will not work. Some people simply will not proceed, and I am not saying it's because they am saying maybe they underestimated what it would take, did not self-educate themselves enough, or too lazy to do what it takes. I do not mean to put anyone out. It was just my opinion. I want to be rich young. MJ said it. Many people have said it. I honestly do not care if I'm rich at 60. It will mean nothing to me, so maybe we have different views there. I'm not saying I want to be rich at 30 and then lose it, but again, if I cannot attain wealth before I lose my health, I just don't care. Maybe I'm just saying this because I'm young and stubborn, who knows. Again, sorry if it offended anyone. Well, I didn't start till I was 38. I am still 38. God, when did that happen? Haha, could have swore I was at an in concert last week and still a senior in high school. I didn't really have anyone helping me when I was growing up, and money was completely foreign to me. I had a good time in my 20s. However, I lived paycheck to paycheck. Still, I am not complaining, I had a good time. Wasn't till about 5 years ago when I started getting involved in filming and editing the DVD series called Super Speeders. More personal information than I want to share, but it certainly made an impact on me. Here you had a bunch of guys all 10 years younger than me driving 250k cars like assholes, and I am scratching my head wondering how these young guys could afford such cars. Anyways, it definitely encouraged me to start busting my ass. Then later I learned that busting your ass wasn't the right approach. How long can I work 12 hours a day for? But I finally got it all together just before my 38th birthday. Oddly enough, I kinda reached all the same conclusion as MJ did before I even read his book. I'm still working on it, but at 38 I am finally on the right track. Thankfully, I take really good care of myself and stay very active. So when I am wealthy, I will still be able to enjoy it. I'm 21 and take action day. I'm doing my best to follow the tracks of successful people before me while still doing my own thing. I've had a few failures already, I've learned from them and I feel confident in the website I've been working on. The self-investment of teaching myself how to program makes quitting seem as if it isn't even an option. I've spent so many hours, days just learning and practicing the trade. I think you only really fail when you quit. People only allow themselves to quit when they do not have too much invested into something, and not having enough of your ass in the water is probably why you failed in the first place. Great post, Ian Will. Speed to you. This thread is hilarious mixed in with some common sense problems. A success is a blanket term. Everyone interprets it differently. Financial success? Marital? Family? Friends? HC view success not as an end point, but as a never-ending road of self-improvement until the day I die. Be mid-20s? Really? If you don't achieve your view of what success is by age 25, you're doomed for life and failure. Ha 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 ha. That's about the most ludicrous suggestion I've seen yet. What if you're 24? You get 1 year to succeed. What if you're 40? Well, you might as well just quit now because you're 15 years past the success deadline. Come on, that is ridiculous. You can't answer this question for anyone other than yourself. To tell another person that they are wrong is foolish, because there is no set definition for success that can be applied to everyone. Why? Because there isn't. Essentially, seriously though, I don't want to be a parrot, but it's been stated over and over. You only fail when you quit. If you have a goal and miss, are you a failure? Not if you try again. Goals change constantly anyway, as you grow as a person and become wiser. Our experiences ultimately affect our viewpoints, which in turn alter our priorities in life, which end up changing our goals. Is a certain business idea not working for you? Let go of it, and try another. And another. And another. When do you stop trying? You don't. Does that make you a failure? It doesn't. You're a failure if you succumb to laziness or any other human defect. Couldn't think of a more suitable word, but are some of you suggesting that people who have normal jobs are failures? Because that in itself is completely wrong. Your interpretation of success is not necessarily the right one. There is no right answer to what is success. Just like the fast lane is not right. It is right for some people, others not. This may go on for a while. Success is a means to an end, nothing more, nothing less. Maybe some people are talking about happiness or person fulfillment, but that is not the same thing. In the meantime, life comes at you fast with bills or burdens, and one will eventually win. I agree with you, Biz, in that we all want to be successful, financially or otherwise, when we're young. Heck, I'm only 23 and I already have the mindset that I started out too late on this entrepreneurship track. It's also like you said though, success is a means to an end. The problem is some people will have that flash of luck very early in their lives, as I hope everyone on this forum does, but there are times when timing is off or the execution of an idea isn't completely there just yet. I believe the most important thing in all of this is to stay hungry and motivated, because sometimes it goes take a long time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to get to that level of success that one wants. Is that a fact? Let me help you. No, it is not. Some people view happiness as the ultimate success. Do you not understand that it is entirely a matter of opinion? And that your opinion does not apply to everyone? Clearly you are incapable of empathy. If you can't see the point of view of your potential customers, you'll most probably fail miserably. Everyone I know of, or have ever heard of or read about who are successful financially are not lucky. They busted their ass off working insane amounts of hours 6 to 7 days a week doing tasks that most people wouldn't in order to build their businesses. They come from all age groups and all demographics. I see no luck. There is one thing that I always see common in younger people. They look at life as if there is an end day based on age. All their goals are age-based, when they should be time-based. People who turn 30 act like, shit, I turn 30, life is over after my birthday, But guess what, I see them the day after and they are still the same. Maybe you should be giving your businesses a 1-year time frame, instead of a before I turn 20 time frame. They might be the same in terms of the exact date, but they are very different. You see, one goal is based on the business itself, the other is based on you. If I give my business 8 months to make $100,000, the goal is business-based. If I say I have to make $100,000 before I turn 40, the goal is based on me. It's subtle, but I believe that it's a huge difference in mentality. Another thing is that younger people believe that they are working towards a better future. While this may be true, they don't realize that they should also be living in the present while doing so. Your life experiences are all about what is going on in the moment. Look at the NCAA tournament today. The number 14 team that upsets the number 3 seed is enjoying their tremendous happiness. I am sure they are ecstatic and not even thinking about their next game on Saturday. Do you walk up to a dude on the team and say, "Yeah, that's great, but you have to play Duke on Saturday, so why are you so happy? So why do you do this in business?" Small victories are great. In the end your business could fail, but does that mean your whole year was wasted? If at some point in time, you want to give up and try something else, do it because you want to, not because you've reached some magical number of days being alive. I challenge you to define successful. Is an NBA player sitting on the bench making NBA minimum successful? Guilty as charged. I would take my high school experience as my best example. Every day I would absolutely hate going to class every day. So, during lunch and breaks and even during class I would take out notepads and plan my future. In doing so I completely neglected my present. Everything was always about the future. I didn't spend enough time with my friends, my teachers, my family, or just being social at all. Sure, I was technically in the room, but my mind was wandering into grandiose and naive visions of the future. I would give almost anything to go back and do it all over. Exactly my point. I make money in my own business already, so the fail miserably thing is just not appreciated or needed. I am just not making it through a fast lane business. I understand empathy, and maybe you are having difficulty controlling your emotions with this. It is all based on facts. It is a means to an end. I did not say our end is all the same. It's clearly just different numbers, that's all. If your bills are $20,000 per year and you spend $20,000 per year and you seek no further riches, I think $100,000 per year passively we can say you have reached a means to your end. You have attained success. If your bills are $50,000 per year and you spend $50,000 per year, you are completely happy with that lifestyle. You need to make more than $100,000 securely and comfortably in order to reach success. If you do not, you have not reached the means to an end, which means you must work. Whether you love work or not is irrelevant, it's just numbers. Happiness and pride aside, I am just talking about financial success. I understand money does not make you complete and happy. I completely disagree here. Success is a life, a path. As long as you are on the road towards achieving your goals, you are a success. Success is constant improvement. A teacher who positively impacts hundreds of kids is a success, regardless of paycheck. A fireman or EMT worker that saves lives every day is a success. An entrepreneur that constantly seeks to improve his or her business and create efficiency that drives additional profits is a success. None of that has to do with money. Yes, money matters. Of course it does. I have personally had years where I made very large amounts of money and years where the fry cook at McDonald's would laugh at my income. But during that time, I was still a success because I was working towards the achievement of my goals. Who are you, or anyone else for that matter, to decide what is the definition of success for me or anyone else? The idea that if you aren't successful in your 20s is just silly. Again, what is the definition of success? If I floated through my 20s working paycheck to paycheck just to have beer money on the weekends with no goals, then no, I am not a success. I could say the same thing for the corporate guy making 150k a year that comes home, falls on the couch and pops beer after beer. I could also say the business owner who has lost his drive to achieve falls into the not successful trap. But that doesn't mean any of the above mentioned people are unable to change later in their lives to work towards achieving their goals. Like Bioface asked, at what point would you quit? If you have a predetermined point in your life where you give up, you have already failed. Just an unrelated aside, my definition of success: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch or a redeemed social condition, to have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Best regards. Global. I take your posts into consideration all the time. I think you have valid points. I used to not believe this, but I realize as I get older that these people should be respected and do live very fulfilling lives. Maybe I've just become so conditioned to think about money that it's almost all I ever think about. The push some of us get from seeing friends and relatives struggling makes money so important that happiness can be shadowed by personal income. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I see it close to impossible to be happy while financially struggling or always worrying about money. Thanks. Thanks everyone for these insightful replies. I learned from this thread. Good post, Ian. Best of luck with your real estate empire. My key takeaway is to not always be so focused on the future, and forget or not enjoy the present. I'm definitely guilty of this, and I'm consciously going to try and avoid this going forward to some degree. Thanks Bioface. I just wanted to say one more thing. In my opinion, the whole idea of Fastlane is to get financially free early enough to be able to enjoy what life actually has to offer. For me, that means growing my money tree by my 30s, maybe 40s, because I'll still be young enough to have the energy to do things like travel, which I highly value. But for some, it may not matter as much to get free while young. They may have other things in mind which they would want to do that doesn't require a young age. If someone wants to get rich enough to be able to secure a good future for his children or grandchildren, then older age may not matter that much. For example, in my case, I am in my 20s and am aiming to get free by my early 30s, because I want to be able to live with my family in style. So if I don't get on that path by then by my terms, I have failed, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Just time to shift gears so I can prepare for the next best thing, i.e. getting free by my 40s. The only true failure for any aspiring fastlaner is giving up on the fast lane path. But at the same time, that doesn't mean your life can't be enjoyable. After all, there are people who are not financially free who still enjoy their lives, right? Though it's somewhat relative, I believe there are firm criteria for what determines success and failure for a fastlaner. Just my two. Financially struggling is deceptive. Although usually associated with low income, it can happen at any income. A person with $10th may struggle financially while trying to aspire to live like a person with $1,000. The same as an individual with $10 million may struggle financially while trying to aspire to live like an individual with $1B. The amount of money will never alleviate financial struggle. This is an emotional and psychological battle that can never be won. There is a reason that happiness is not correlated very strongly with money. In my opinion, there is no reason to worry about money any more than I would worry about a hammer. For me, they are both simple, relatively easy to use tools. Best regards. Look, the majority of millionaires I know didn't start until they were 30 or older. I have two relatives that are multimillionaires and they are over 50. So the answer is I think that MJ is driving towards is that if you engage in the process and are committed, then becoming wealthy can come at any age. I think MJ would say that there is also a slow lane in becoming a millionaire as well. It's not a question if you get there, it's when in your life are you getting there. I agree with MJ and do not want to be the richest man in the retirement home. I'm in my late 20s and had several small business failures, and I still believe in going to be very wealthy, but you have to stay at it and go about it in the right way. Though I understand what you are saying, you may miss things that you can do while you are in your 20s that you can't do when you are 30. My point is that if you do this, you may end up having $10 million when you are 30 and look at and say that you missed your 20s. That's 10 years that no amount of money is going to get you back. So while you are busy making your millions in your 20s, stop and look around some of the time. Wow, that is a very real statement. Between 24 and 26, I feel like I missed out on a lot because I was always head down working. I've learned to regulate my times, and have set times for me and non-work times. It keeps my life balanced. Thanks for the advice. Luckily, I'm in a business that allows a fair amount of automation with potential for high scale, so even in my infant stages, I find myself with a lot of free time. It almost feels easier than a slacker's college schedule. It's just a matter of time before the money starts rolling in and I begin expanding. In the meanwhile, I'm meeting everyone I want to meet, working out, playing sports, so yeah. I think I'm doing okay. James F., you have not succeeded and you are in your mid-20s. WTF. Son, when I was born the Cuban Missile Crisis was the hot news. We worshipped Marilyn Monroe, not Lady Gaga. I remember thinking the same thing, more or less, every few years. If I haven't made it by now, I never will. This is what MJ calls a flatulent headwind, and it can be some pretty damaging self-deception if you let it take hold. I put all of my youthful energy into learning the home building and remodeling trade. We do need folks to provide our shelter, and that is a job that will always be needed, and when I got my license way back, I basically owned another job, with all the risk of a business. This forum or any others like it simply did not exist when I was in my 20s. This is a powerful tool to build yourself from the ground up. FCK no 26 is not too old. I am 50 and excited and positive like never before about my own future. Unlike yourself, I have 30 years of looking back in dismay that I am quickly putting behind me and moving forward. Your future is ahead of you. If you have great ideas and inspiration, go ahead and try, make your mistakes, lick your wounds. Don't get caught up in what your friends are doing, or not doing, and put the pedal to the metal, younger brother. No whining, just winning. Builderman, Builderman.